Welcome to the Unschooling the Mind podcast, where we unravel all of the beliefs and deep conditioning that has been programmed into our mind through decades of infiltration by institutions, media, and governments of whom we no longer trust. In an attempt to heal ourselves and free our children from the same circumstances, we bravely face the rabbit holes that we have been incessantly warned not to explore. My name is Tasha Fishman, and I was a regular Matrix mummy, previously trapped on planet mind control like everyone around me until the absurdity of the 2020 mandates and public health measures which hit the school system. I took my kids running and never looked back. Unschooling them and myself has led to a new reality. I was forced to shed my old beliefs and birth a new version of myself, a former recovering people pleaser all the way to the Canadian trucker convoy. I didn't know this was in the cards, but here I am today as an unschooling advocate, public speaker, and the founder of the International Unschooling the Mind private community. My life is unrecognizable today, but I wouldn't change a thing. So let's get into it, friends, and unschool our minds together. All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Unschooling the Mind and to our private community. I want to welcome King Bau to the show. Joel Bauman, hi, nice to meet you finally. We got to chat for a few minutes prior to. I guess, I don't even know when I found your account, but to me, I felt like you were like my soul black brother doppelganger. I was like, how is it that I'm finding only men online who will talk about what's necessary to be talking about, who's broken through all of the onion layers of the illusions and actually knows what's up? So, I think I looked at your account, and I mean, I haven't gone through everything, and we're all busy doing our own accounts and, trying to spread truth, but truth really vibrates at a frequency that not only we hear, but it's really something we feel. And as soon as I saw you, I was just like, yeah, there's truth right there. So I've come up with a few words to describe you, and then we'll see what you think. But just from the here and there that I've seen, I would describe you as a dad, an MMA fighter, an embodied samurai, a talented artist / comedian, unapologetically advocating for children through your company, Aloveo, but most importantly, calling out those who seek to harm children, whether it be Pedowood, the Deep State, or specifically Jimmy Kimmel, who, congratulations to you, by the way, and the rest of us who have a huge sigh of relief that he is now ending his tenure this year. So in this community, did I do good? Is that a good definition for someone we've just met?
Phenomenal.
All right.
Phenomenal.
So in this community, unschooling our kids, what I started this account that blew up, really has evolved into unschooling the mind, because what I witnessed is that we can pull our children out of these toxic systems, like the government-run schools. Okay, we can do that. But more importantly, parents and humans need to upgrade. We need to upgrade our avatars in the real realm, right? And so that happens by learning first about the subconscious mind, which has been information that's been hidden from us through schools, through government, through media, understanding that, and then starting bit by bit to deprogram those figure out what's what, right? So I mean, you've talked about this. I've heard you in glimpses talking about the subconscious mind. So I know you know a lot about that stuff, and I can't wait to get into it. But I'm also somebody that has the courage to go dark and deep. But now I'm in a space where, I don't want to stay stuck there. And I don't want my audience or anybody else to as well. They might be there, and that might be where they need to be for a time. But I do want to give people hope, right? I do want us to come down the hill rabbit holes, but out into the light. And as I noticed there's like a beam of light. Do you see that beam of light that's coming through the sun of the window on my top chakra? This is good. So for
There's
those of
nothing that
you,
happens. There's nothing that doesn't happen for a reason.
right? Agreed. Yeah. And so, for those of you who know nothing about you, let's start with the story of you and you awakening, as you said in one of your lives or something. I think you said it was about 8 years ago. So, I want to know what was the catalyst, how that unfolded for you. And then I want you to explain the Jimmy Kimmel challenge, obviously, and how that went.
All right, you hit a lot of that on the nail. Thank you for the introduction. For people that don't know me and how my awakening journey started, I was the only African American adopted at 2 weeks old in a small community of Norwegians. My birth mother, actually picked the parents that I have now, who raised me because they were Christian. Growing up, I couldn't listen to the radio. My parents were so conservative. I couldn't watch TV. I lived in a trailer home for the first 4 years of my life. And then we moved down the road, which about a mile, to the house that my dad grew up in. And his dad died. He took over the farm for a little bit, but then got out of that because he didn't have enough help. So, very conservative upbringing. Because of that, my nickname was Bible Boy. Growing up, I had an affinity for the church. I wanted to lead all my friends to Jesus because for me, I didn't want any of my friends to go to hell. I just thought that was terrible. All my friends are
Mhm.
really cool. All my friends are super dope. All my friends are awesome. Like, why would I want them to go to hell? So it kind of created this savior complex in me. And I believe that I was given life. Like, why am I here? Why did I end up in bumfuck nowhere, excuse my language,
It's
bum
okay.
F nowhere, Minnesota? I don't know if we can curse. I'm just,
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we
okay.
can.
You know what I mean? I didn't know why I was there other than to be there, right? There had to be a purpose, especially if God is real. I must have been given this life for a reason. So that was my goal. That was my calling. And I've had many, I have had many breaking moments, awakening moments in my life. And if we're going to be completely honest and you want to go dark,
Mhm.
then I would say the first one was when I lost my virginity. When I was 14, I was chilling with my friend and a girlfriend that I had, and she's just a girlfriend. Like, it was a girlfriend, right? But she was obsessed with me, right? And at a young age, like, I knew that she would probably be open to the idea of whatever, right? So I remember my buddies playing video games, we're cuddling on my bed, and I just looked at her and I was like, "Hey, do you want to try to have sex?" And that then, she's like, "Yeah." We went in another room and it was terrible. It was absolutely horrendous. It was not even like, it was the worst. It was absolutely not worth it. Like, I should have, looking back, like, respectfully, I probably should have just waited. I was young, horny, dumb, full of, you know what I mean? Like, I was
Yeah.
just, and that broke me. It broke me that because I was obsessed with the idea of love. I fell in love hard all the time. I got my heart broke as a kid all the time. And the idea of being married, God providing this woman for me, and walking down the aisle. We're both wearing white because we saved ourselves and we did the thing that God wanted us to do. And now I got to wear black and, let the world know that I'm this terrible individual and person. And all of this, you know what I mean? All of the programming just turned me into a lot of what I am or have been now.
Mhm.
Um, because I've never told this before. You're getting this the
Am I?
first time
This
I've
is
ever
exclusive?
told this
All
story. Like,
right.
I mean, my friends know, but like,
Yeah.
no, I've never done this on a podcast, so it's just
Yeah.
interesting.
Right on.
Um, yeah, so that that created a monster, and ultimately, my thought was, well, I'm going to hell now, or I'm
Mhm.
never going to be able to come back from this now. So fuck it, literally. And I fell into, you know, the sexual habit,
Mhm.
and it, it always broke me. After every time, whether it was masturbation or sex or whatever, I felt broke.
Mm,
I literally just felt like the worst individual in the world. And all of that shame and all of that, what if it's, feelings of depravity or whatever, like I just kept going down deeper and darker and deeper and darker. Nobody knew, all my friends are looking at me thinking I'm cool because all these girls like me. I'm able to do this. I'm able to do it at a young age. Um, but I hated myself.
mm,
I hated myself. And because I remembered also that my goal was to lead all my friends to Jesus. That was my
mm,
goal. And here I am now addicted to the flesh. Here
mm,
I am, you know what I mean, making other people sin. Here I am trying to be this example, but I am experiencing the worst of it all. In the worst of it all was that I hated myself.
mm,
And that is ultimately what led me to, like, in college I had a terrible relationship, right? Thought I had found my dream girl. I got her, right? I got her. You know what I mean? Went up to her in the dorm, said, I'm in. It was, you know what I mean? I'm me now. Ah, hey, how are you? I'm into you. We should do something sometime. You know what I mean? And it fucking worked. And I'm the man. And she said yes. And then it was a terrible relationship. Like the
mm,
moment like I realized I was in too deep is when I remember she looked at me. And I've never been one to be big on lying. I've never been one to be big online. That doesn't mean I'm going to tell you everything about my life,
mhm,
right? If I don't tell you anything about my life, I lived a double life a lot of my earlier years. So
mhm,
if I never tell you, I'm not lying. But to lie, it was just soul sucking. Like I just never liked that. Um, and she looked at me one night when we were gonna go party with some of my guys, and she looked at me and she said, and she was drunk. And I, you know what I mean? Not, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, I probably got to tell this one. Like, I got to, like, you know what I mean? Not, I can't do this anymore. Literally, the next morning, I was pretty much going to do that. And she looked at me. She goes, hey, hey. And she looks over at me. I'm like, yeah, what? I love you. Oh, oh, no. Oh, what? Okay. She looks at me. She's like, you going to say it back? I'm like, and I literally went back in my mind and I'm like, don't say it, bro. Don't say it. I said it. And then for the next year and a half or however long it was the most miserable, toxic relationship I've ever been. But all I was trying to do was be a savior complex. And like she was helping push me back into like Jesus. Because I was
mm,
partying, I was drinking, I was having
mm,
sex, I was doing all this stuff because it's college, you know what I mean? And that's what they say
mhm,
you're supposed to do. Um, and again started hating myself. I was again, I got to that like a certain level of love, and then it was like, because now I'm trying to talk a girl into going to church that doesn't want to go to church. And um I'm also experiencing the freedom of being able to do whatever I want. I can buy liquor now. I can hit up this dude, and be like, hey, do you have, this or that? And I can get it. Like I'm free. And you talk about the awakening, how it happens, all of this, all of this darkness. That's
mhm,
how we got to where I am today. That's why I'm able to shine a light on the manipulation that a lot of these kids are going through.
mhm,
I don't believe now that I believe that sex is a holy gift and divine. I believe that the woman is to be worshiped, honored, and protected. There's nothing that brings more satisfaction to a man than his woman,
mhm,
who he will worship, honor, and do everything to protect. That is what men strive to do. So I look at my sexuality now, or how I viewed it back then, much differently, because I've learned that I am a sacred being. I am worthy of worship. I am worthy of love when I live from a genuine heart space, and the heart space of the little boy who believed that everybody deserved a good life and to be saved. And ultimately, my spiritual awakening came in college. Was wrestling at the University of Minnesota, suffered a head injury, was told I never compete again, was out for 3.5 months, couldn't read. It was scary. I remember I had a geology test and I read the same page of this geology book 19 times. I had to start writing the little like 1, 2, 3, 4 slash, whatever those things are, little ticks to like count. I read this book, this page 19 times. I didn't remember what I read. Went in the next day, they told me that I had, yeah, serious head injury and I had multiple before. And here I am wanting to be the next big thing. I've always wanted to get a big platform to save a lot of people.
Mm.
My dream was to be
Mm.
a traveling pastor. I wanted to open up orphanages and churches down in Mexico and be a chiropractor and give out free chiropractic and, teach from my church. That's pretty much what I wanted to do. That was my life, right? That was the vision for my life um early on. And I thought the best way to get there was to be the biggest star or thing that I could be to then have all the money to be able to do that. Right. So, how do I get the money? How do I help people? How do I do that? That's what I ultimately wanted to do. Well, during this head injury, during this concussion, I can't say that. I can't say what it is because the medical industry owns that term. And I'm going to make a very valid point here very, very quickly.
Mm.
I had a head injury and I was going to commit suicide because now all my dreams are taken away. How am I going to be the biggest entertainer, whether it's a WWE wrestler or the best fighter in the world, the ultimate fighter? And martial arts was always something I wanted to do, the UFC. That was something I always wanted to do because I had a fascination with the samurai and Bruce Lee
Mhm.
growing up and martial arts, which is why I wrestled. So here I am now being told it's all taken away. And I started drinking and smoking heavy, trying to feel nothing so that I could jump off the bridge that I lived on. I lived on the main bridge that kind of leads into the University of Minnesota, right on the Mississippi River, and that's the most famous bridge where people go to jump. And I would
Mm.
always have, these reoccurring visions of, if everything just goes to shit, that's where I'll end up. I'll be one with the water. Um, Remember what we
With
talked
the
earlier?
water.
Yeah, with the water.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with the
perfect.
water.
Perfect. So ended up one day finally getting the courage to do it because it's like, what am I living for? I'm living off of peanut butter and water. Nobody knows. Nobody knows how broke I am. Nobody knows how desperate I am. I believe that my team and my coaches believe I'm faking it because you can't really see a head injury.
Mm.
But I can't explain to them that when the sun hits the snow and I go outside, I immediately get a headache. I can't explain to them when I'm in a crowd and the crowd starts getting crazy and I'm watching one of my friends wrestle and my heart starts beating. All of a sudden, I get a massive headache and I start to feel like I have a panic attack. And I don't even believe in panic attacks. And I think this is bullshit. And I can't explain that to them. So I didn't feel like I had anybody that understood what I was going through. And ultimately, I walked toward the bridge, took one step on that bridge, and had an epiphany, my next breaking moment. I got really angry. It was maybe the first real time I felt righteous anger. Because here I am being talked into something that I ultimately don't want to do. And I got really mad and I just started thinking about the dreams that I had. Like, wait a minute, I'm going to find a way to get better. I'm going to find a way to do what I said I was going to do because that matters to me. If I get talked into doing something that I don't even feel like I want to do, first off, who's talking to me into it? And secondly, like, I think regardless, I'm so arrogant. I have so much pride that I believe I can still make everything that I believe that I can happen. So I ran as fast as I've ever ran back to my apartment. I looked myself in the mirror, and this is a practice that I've done for a very, very long time. I looked myself in the mirror and in the eyes, and I just went, God, if this is it, take me now. But if it's not, give me a sign. And I literally looked up and I did it just like this. The next day, a buddy called me and says, "Hey, Joel, you're never going to guess what." He had been trying to reach out to me for like 9 months. And I was ignoring him because we did a company together in network marketing. And that's where a lot of my personal development came in, where I started reading books to get better. And that's how I also knew that how am I in a defeated position just because things are happening to me in life. And I needed that company. I needed that experience to then meet this individual for him to call me after I had been ignoring him for 9 months because I didn't want to hear whatever he was trying to sell to me. And He calls me up, says, Joel, you're never going to guess what? Heard you have a head injury. We need to sit down ASAP. I said, what? He said, well, I got introduced to this company that has an all natural anti inflammatory that lowers the inflammatory markers or inflammation in a human by 47% in 90 minutes at a cellular level. You have a head injury, inflammation of the brain. The only way to really reduce that, you can't really put ice on your head, can you? And I said, well, not really. I mean, so wouldn't it make sense to lower that at the cellular level? And he's starting to talk my language. He's taking the time to talk my language and answer my questions and how I I have to understand why. And he's immediately handling it. He says, "Bro, just let me show you what we got. I'll buy you lunch." And at that time, I told you guys I was living off of peanut butter and water. I was broke. I was sad. Um, a meal sounded good. So I sat down with him, but I also noticed that he sounded better. He also had a head injury. He was crushed by a 350-ton pickup truck with him and his wife and essentially had to learn how to do everything again. And he had a little tick to him. I didn't know that story until after I knew him, but I always knew that he kind of had a social thing about him. I'm not saying that he's or anything, but he had something about him to where it was different. You know what I mean? And this is the first time that he sounded as clear as he did. So I was like, voila. Sat down with him. He showed me this company that I'm still involved with today, which is Alovea, aloveA.com. And they have a product called Limitless that lowers the inflammation by using betalin technology. Betalin is found in beets. Everything that we do is food technology. We don't do supplements. We do food technology. So he ultimately showed me this betalin technology where they extract the betalin from the sugar molecule in a beet. They then take that betalin and put it into a capsule, and it's 500 beets worth of betalin. That's the science and the technology behind it. It was simple for me to understand. And it's like, who doesn't want to lower the inflammation in their body? When Time Magazine, back in 2000, I believe, 12, said that it was the leading cause to every bad thing in the body: heart disease. Now we know diabetes, and Alzheimer's and dementia is actually type 3 diabetes. So, like, we're now learning that as well. And so here I am, and I have this little magic capsule that I started to take. And within 2.5 weeks, I was medically cleared to wrestle. How did I go from broke wanting to commit suicide? And then that night, asking God for a sign, and Nathan France calling me a month later, I'm almost financially what would be considered free. I'm making enough money residually and passively where I literally can sit and now start to make beats. I have enough money to do the things that I want to do, start teaching myself all the things that I want to do. I was on my deathbed. I was in a dark place. And here I am now with the opportunity to help people. My dad was able to lift his left shoulder above his ear for the first time since high school football. We used to have to go inside after playing catch for 10 throws because his shoulder would hurt. That impacted me. I start seeing my aunt and all these people with inflammation in the hands and other parts of their body start to do things that they hadn't necessarily done in a very, very long time, especially discomfort free. So I literally got the thing that I wanted from God, which was to help people, and I'm doing it. And within the first 4 months, I'm making a full time income and I don't have to do anything, get up whenever I want to. I'm 22, 23, 24 years old. I don't remember. 24 years old. And I'm living the beginning of my dream. As I'm making beats one day, this, you want to know what the spiritual awakening was? Here you go. And I did this is the first time I've told the full story. So thank you for letting me do this.
Love it.
So what happened was I was sitting around making beats and I had a chiropractic table. I still have this picture. I'll try to find it and I'll try to send it to you. Where I literally have this big TV that I have my computer hooked up to, and I'm sitting on a little like bouncy ball that I still sit on today. This has not changed, right? Sitting on a little bouncy ball, right? And I am making beats and I'm doing it on a chiropractic table to remind me of my dreams, right? That's like everything is triggering the subconscious. And as I'm sitting here in gratitude, I'm like, what am I, you know, what am I scared of? because I feel like you can only achieve to the lowest limiting belief that you have, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'm really not scared of anything. I'm not really scared of sharks. I can swim in the ocean now. I'm, I'm not afraid of what people think. I can tell people what I think, and that used to be something that was hard for me to do, even though I was called Bible boy. It took a lot of courage to be able to be like, you should believe in Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Which is why I know a lot of Christians in today's world, they can't do it because they care what people think and they don't evangelize how they're supposed to and invite people to church, invite people to the word. That's part of the reason why a lot of Christians are miserable. I know. And I'm sitting here and all of a sudden something, mind you, I have not got to the chiropractic part of my dream yet. I can help people with this product, but I haven't got to like the thing that how do I learn how to do chiropractic? I bought books on some acupressure, some reflexology, but like, how can I get the thing that I want? This commercial comes on because I had YouTube up as I was taking a break from making beats. And this gentleman was going up to people on a pier with this camera. And he's going, excuse me, do you have pain? And these people would look at him like, he kind of sounded like a weirdo, right? He kind of sounded like a little, brittle man, right? But I could tell that these people's reactions were genuine. So I'm intrigued already. Like, where is this going? It blacks out the camera on one guy who had shoulder problems from the gym, and he's like, "Yeah, I got pain. Like, what? Why?" He's like, "Well, let me see if I can help you." Blacks out the camera, turns it back on within 3 minutes. He's like, "That was about 3 minutes. What you said your pain level was at? What before?" Guy goes like, "Oh, 7." Like, and he's like, what is it at now?" And the guy goes, and I could tell it was a genuine response. He goes, "Bro, what the?" And I just went, "All right, all right, let's see what is now you got me hook line sinker, right?" It was
Mhm.
brilliant. Hook line sinker. And I sit here and I watch the whole 15-minute infomercial, all for him to go at the end. Yeah, so this is energy healing. Hey. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm starting to get into the secret. I'm starting to get into the law of attraction. I'm starting to get into manifestation. Like I'm hearing it, but I'm like, well, energy healing, what? Go out and buy both of his books, Quantum Touch. There's your plug.
Mm.
Quantumtouch.com. Get the little subscription. What is this stuff? All right. Is it real? Is this real or is it all BS? All right. Because I got to know. I'm a knowledge junkie. I read the reason I am the way that I am today is because I heard Tony Robbins read 200 books or like 100 books in the span of 9 months. And I was like, okay. So I got an Audible. I got as many books as I could. That's where a lot of my money went in the beginning, was just accruing knowledge. And I got to 100 books in like a year and a half, right?
Mhm.
And then 200 books in 2 years, right? I just absorbed knowledge because my first mentor told me you can only earn what you become. So that then leads you down this rabbit hole. So here I am with these books now, and I'm learning things that are very interesting. In Quantum Touch, they have claims that you can make bones move with energy. I'm just saying what they say. I'm not
Mhm.
saying it's real. I'm not saying whatever. If you want to read the books, go read the books. I think that everybody should learn that maybe there was something to Nikola Tesla believing in free energy. And I
Mhm.
believe maybe it's about us cultivating it, but to cultivate it, you have to actually be empty and you have to learn how to, move what is already there. But if you're not aware and you don't have the ability to focus and think, TikTok brain, you're not going to be able to learn how to focus long enough to be able to channel your own energy, which one could argue is even dreams and anything that you manifest. A lot of people don't live their dream today because they're not able to focus. So maybe there's something to what I'm saying. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know. But Quantum Touch, got into it. My buddy had a knee injury, um, tore his ACL, MCL, and meniscus, and that's why he was on our product line, right? He was a semi-professional baseball player. And I called him up. I'm like, Eric, man, I need you to come over. I just saw something. It's crazy. I don't know if it's real, but you and I need to check this out. Don't tell anybody. Just come over. He's like, what? He comes over. I end up working on him for like I tell him everything, work on him for 3 hours. At the end of it, he's squatting a little bit deeper and he's going, bro, I don't know what you just did, but this does feel better. And like, you could see, right? I'm squatting a little bit deeper. I'm like, yeah, bro, I can see this. You're not fucking with me though, right? Like, is this real or is it bullshit? What is it? So Next day, we're talking at one of our recruitment events. That was a Wednesday. And on a Thursday, Tuesday, Thursdays, we have a little events where we invite people to see the information, right? I'm sitting there talking and with Eric and some other people that were close to us. And we're talking about our experience and something I had seen that's breaking my mind. Like it's breaking my, people could see I was just kind of like different. And we're talking, and this woman comes up. She was the mom of the group. Her name is Sandra Samuelson. There's your plug, Sandra. And she goes, "Excuse me, are you guys talking about energy?" And I kind of treated her like the annoying mom. I love her, you know what I mean? But she's always wondering what everybody's doing and always has the gossip in the tea, right? So I didn't necessarily want her in my business when I'm talking about things that might make me look crazy, right?
Mhm.
And she goes, and I go, "Well, yeah, why?" And she's like, "Well, there's a lot of people in Evolve, which is now Elevate at the time, that are in energy." And I go, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, did you know that Danny is the woman that I essentially launched this company with the other gentleman that I told you about. Us three families, her and her husband, the guy that showed it to me, and then myself led this to thousands of people and started to change thousands because we said yes. Danny
Mhm.
said yes because her husband had bad feet issues,
Mhm.
inflammation of the feet, was taking 20 to 30 Tylenol and ibuprofen a day. And in a week, 2 week span, was off all the Tylenol and ibuprofen and discomfort free. She
Mhm.
then shared it with Nathan, who did construction and also had these injuries that I told you about. And then it came to me. So there's three. Isn't that interesting? The number three comes up.
Mhm.
Nikola Tesla believed in free energy and he believed in three sixes and nines. So it's very interesting that then we
Mhm.
led that to over 3,000 people in the span of a year. And then that grew to what it is today. And that's the only reason that you're hearing about it now is because people like me have had stories that have been impacted by this technology. So to continue, she's like, "Yeah, Danny ended up getting essentially let go of her last company because it was mostly Christian based, and they believe she was a witch because she was into yoga and what's called qigong." And I was like, "Qigong?" She's like, "Yeah, it's a form of energy work." And so I'm like, she's like, "You should go talk to her about it." So I go up there and I'm like, "Danny, I just saw something, and I need to know if this is real. What do you know about energy?" Her face just gets white. And now this woman is one of the most powerful people I've ever met. One of the most confident women I've ever met. Little just powerhouse. But when I asked her that question and her face kind of just went, I was like, "Danny, it's me. I need to know if this is real." She's like, "You need to meet Danelle." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "You need to meet Danelle. You can have my time slot on Saturday. Just come, Burnsville Panera Bread. Meet us there." Well, Saturday comes. I end up going to this Burnsville Panera Bread where I hear that Danelle can do things like channel and, talk to Jesus and all these other things. And now I am at a crossroads, breaking point. I'm at a crossroads breaking point where I'm either going to hell and everything that I'm learning is from Satan, and that I am making the absolute wrong choice. This is me meeting the devil, or I am being shown that life is absolutely what I didn't think it could ever be. And I might be on the cusp of something that could radically transform my life in the world. I am at the crossroads. I decide to go and I see this long black hair just sitting at this table. Danny's on the other side of her. Her back is to me. I start walking there. My friend Sally Simner, biker chick, old lady, you're beautiful. Sally, you're beautiful. I don't mean to call you an old lady. Sally's talking to me. To this day, Sally, I have no idea what you're saying to me because I'm transfixed on this long black hair. And as I get closer and I extend my hand, and as she comes up and shakes my hand, she goes, or I go, "I feel like I've seen you before." My first words to her. My first words to her were, "I feel like I've seen you before." And she looks at me and she goes, "Yeah, silly. We've been talking in dream time for the last 6 months."
Yeah.
Huh? What the fuck? What? What? No, you don't just say that. That's not I know what I said's fucked up. That's probably the first. You don't say that to somebody. I feel like I've seen you before. You know what I mean? Even if you're taking it, you probably don't say that. Now she's gonna rebuttal me and go, "I've seen you in dream time for the last 6 months and we've been talking." Shut the So I look at her, I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Sit down." and how her authority. This woman is this tall, but her energy is this big. And this is the first time I ever felt fear in front of a woman, where it was just like her power and her presence. She's sitting up like this. Danny is leaned over, hunched over, smiling, just like something big is about to happen. And she looks at me. I'm just like, I'm waiting for her to talk. Like, I'm not saying anything. And she goes, "Why are you here?" And I'm like, power. That was my answer. And she's like, "You already have it. Why are you here?" What? She's like, "Joel, remember that time that you were sitting in your grove when you were, when you were young and the sun was beaming down through the trees and you put out your hands and as the sun hit your hands, you asked for something, didn't you?" I go white. All of the blood moves. I'm getting chills right now. Moves to the back of my head because I had never told anybody that story before. And that story was I had terrible allergies growing up. I had, because all the shit that I was eating, looking back at it, probably wasn't allergies. It was just me eating shit and fucking my immune system up. So I was really snotty and really mucusy. And my mom and dad, like I said, they didn't let me watch TV. So the first introduction to TV was my friend Silver. Silver, his mom and dad didn't give a fuck. They let him watch South Park. South Park was his favorite show. He moved to my school in the fifth grade. I was a fourth grader. He was a fifth. No, I was a third grader. He was a fifth grader. 2 years older than me, but he thought I was, cool enough to hang out with him. His brothers boxed. I was obsessed with martial arts, and my parents wouldn't let me do boxing because they thought I had an anger issue, and I did. That's why they put me in wrestling because I had so much energy. And he was now like the cool kid that I could hang out. He's telling me about South Park and he's showing me this Dragon Ball Z stuff. This Dragon Ball Z stuff. And these guys can shoot this stuff out of their hands and chi, and they can move things with their mind. And it's all about becoming more powerful and gaining more chi. And all of a sudden, one day, I see this Tai Chi thing come on. We finally get Dish Network. I run home. We get let out early from school. It was like a half day. I ran home because we have Dish Network now, and I'm going to watch Dragon Ball Z on Cartoon Network. And Dragon Ball isn't on yet because, I got home early. But there's this infomercial that's on. It's a Tai Chi infomercial. And this guy is talking about Chi. And I know that in Dragon Ball Z, they shoot Chi out of their hands. That's what it's called. So I'm like, what? This is very interesting. Let me figure out what this is. So I do an hour of Tai Chi. I hated running, but I had this energy. And I went on a run and I had no sinus issues. And for the first time, I ran a mile very, very fast, as faster than I probably ever ran it. And I wasn't tired when I got home. So I went into the grove and I felt this energy pulsating from my entire body. And I was putting my hands together and I was trying to feel that energy and maybe make some chi balls or something. And I didn't want my parents to see. So I went out in the grove and I put my hands out and the sun beams down through the trees and I can feel the energy that I felt the first time Silver asked Christ into his heart. And after we got done praying, this was 2 years ago, after he got done praying, he looked up, mind you, he was an atheist, but he always made fun of me for being a Christian. And my only goal was to lead him. He was like my number one. If I could get him to Christ, I'd get anybody to Christ. Finally, he asked Christ into his heart, right? And when we get up and we're done praying 2 years prior, there's this gold light coming down from the top of the windowsill that was closed. Blinds were all the way down. It's 3 a.m. And there was this gold light from the edge of the pull-out couch from the blinds that made like this perfect gold light. And you can believe this or you don't. This is what the fuck happened. Silver and I can attest to this. Silver then looks at me and he goes, "Joe, are you seeing this?" This is right after we got done praying. We literally come up and this gold light's there. And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "What is this?" I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "Is this God?" And I said, "I don't know," but I put my hands in it. And I felt, as I feel to this day, pure peace, pure bliss, pure whatever that is, euphoria. We crawl in it. I look at him, he looks at me, and he says, "Don't forget this. Let's talk about this in the morning. This is God." Fall asleep, wake up. He looks at me. We're wide awake, both looking at each other. He's like, "Bro, do you remember what happened last night?" He said, "After you asked God in your heart, that gold light came." He's like, "Yeah, that was God." So here I am now feeling it again as the sun's beaming down through the trees after I did Tai Chi. And I asked the first night when that happened was sober, I said, God, show this to me again, if it's real. Now in the forest or in the grove, here I am again, a couple years later, to have done Tai Chi, my hands and my palms are pulsating with this energy. The sun hits it, and I say, God, if this is real, show me how to use it and let me be the one to bring it to the world to make a difference, a positive difference. I am now crying. Let's go back to Danelle. I am now crying in front of Danelle because I just had all of that I told you happen in an instant. My life flashed before me. All of those moments happened before me. And she just told me that I had the power. And I'm sitting here like, what? And she tells me a story that only I know. And I start crying and I go, I'm shaking. And I go, how did you know? She goes, we're all one, baby. We're all one. You want to ask me what my awakening is? Thank you for letting me tell that whole story. That's where it happened.
Wow.
That's where it happened. The reason that I am the way that I am today is because I have seen miracles done behind the scenes that I've never told anybody. But I have to sit here and watch the world go into chaos when I have information that could just radically transform it to the food technology, to the energy. And now my company even does energy technology. We have a water that is infused that essentially is 33 years work of a gentleman studying how the plants absorb the sun and turn it into energy. And that when you then learn how to take that process and infuse it in water and you spray it under your tongue, it resets your energetic structure, which supersedes pretty much everything. How does that happen? Well, it happens because it's supposed to. So that is my entire journey. That is my entire story. I know that you didn't get the opportunity to ask a lot of questions, but my goal is to always answer questions in whatever presentation I'm giving. And now that you have the full story, I would be honored to hear what your first question is.
Well, I was just mesmerized. I mean, you're such a great storyteller. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, let's back it up to the bridge. Do you feel that that was a dark entity, some negative entity that was speaking to you? Do you feel that
Yes,
that
because
wasn't you?
all I did was felt shame and fear for 3 months. What pushes someone to that point? State. What is state? State is what you feel over a long period of time. That is how you manifest. If fear and gratitude can't be in the same space, power and fear can't be in the same space. There's someone that's making someone fearful and there's someone that's powerful. That is
Mhm,
how the dynamic works. I was in fear. So that allowed me to feel doubt and shame. And what happens is when you're at a state, that's when these entities, I'm literally
mhm,
doing a video about this actually today. So it's
mhm,
funny that we're having this conversation now, and why I'm already prepped for it is
mhm,
because when you feel that state over a long period of time, that becomes your reality. And if that becomes your reality, then you allow darker entities. What puts someone in a heroin house when they know heroin's bad for them?
mhm,
What puts them there? What makes them continue to do that? Well, it's because base level emotions, they become a slave to their base level emotions. And what is a demon? A demon is literally someone or something that can't control itself or its base nature. It's going to kill because it's going to kill and it's going to enjoy it. It's going to partake in things that it knows are detrimental to humanity
mhm,
and not themselves because they can't get lower than they are. They're a demon. I was there. I wanted out, right? I wanted death. At some point in time, prey will give up.
mhm.
Prey will always give up at one point in time. There's a point in time where everything, all hope leaves them. What more is demon possession than that?
100%. So you go and you embody the light. You go through all these experiences. You have a little bit of the imposter syndrome when you're super young, because you're a Bible thumper. But then you have these relationships with these women at a very young age. So you're grappling with all that, which I think is really common with people who kind of get through to the other side and become vocal or are able to carry the light. They've been through a lot of dark shit, and they've also had to really come to terms with their own self, like that imposter syndrome, right? Like I just don't think you go from I don't think the life is set up like that where you're introduced to the Bible and then you just become the person and you're the light. I think we're supposed to go through the mud. I think we're supposed to go through the darkness to rise up. Sure makes the story more interesting. So, speaking of demons, let's talk about, like, you could have just gone on with, advocating about, less inflammation in the body and trying to save children. What has made you decide to take on the biggest industries, the biggest factions of darkness on our planet in a vocal manner, and literally lose reputation, lose opportunities, be canceled, all of the things that you're doing? I mean, because you really didn't have to. You could have stayed in this state of
You never lose
activation.
opportunity. You never lose opportunity when you're speaking truth.
Mm, amen.
Everything comes to you. All abundance comes to you. You talked about, I have a song called Roses that I released, and it goes, I went from nothing to something, put it all on me. True faith is believing until all will see. May showers of abundance rain down on me. Yeah, rain down on me. And I talk about how I go from nothing to something, a rose in the dirt, sprouted, now
Mhm.
receiving the sunlight, right now receiving the shine. I'm feeling good, good. I'm feeling seen. Wow. Ancestors close, close. They guiding me where I feel my genes. Oof, it's the God in me, right? Don't let me
Mm,
go. So, all of
love
that
it.
to say, all of that to say, I am here now because I learned what faith actually was. And faith is controlling your state. There's nothing more important than the single purpose of the present moment. What are you feeling moment to moment?
Mhm.
Sinning, if sin was anything, sin is being distracted. Napoleon Hill, Outwitting the Devil. Being
I
able
love
to
that
be
one.
being able to be distracted is the ultimate sin, in my opinion. Why? Because you don't have enough respect for yourself or God to fulfill the mission or the purpose of what is in front of you at this current moment. You're going to allow yourself or something outside of yourself to talk you into doing something that you will know not get you to the end result or goal that you're actually looking to achieve. So here's what happened. As I'm in this company for 2 years. I'm now living a dream. But I'm starting to have some other things that happen. I'm starting to have my second fall because here I am now able to do all these things that I believe I can with energy. I'm making very, very good money at a young age. And like, okay, but now what? I've been given essentially everything that I wanted to do. Whether you can or you believe it or not, move bones with your mind or energy or whatever. I wanted to be a chiropractor, didn't go to school for it, was told I would be too stupid by, somebody that I didn't really like, who's my academic advisor. And but now I got this thing. Oh, fuck you. I'm in my ego. Ego, pride comes before the fall. We have to fall to essentially rise. And we have to continue to have these perpetual falls until we don't fall anymore. And we stabilize ourselves in a state of unconditional love, to me, which is Christ consciousness. And that's what makes you forgive. That's what makes you, again, know everything happens for a reason. That's true faith to me. So what ended up happening was in this state of the fall, my next fall, I was given my next opportunity and challenge. I knocked up two girls at the same time at the pinnacle of my career while I'm making six figures because now this double life that I've always lived is coming out into the public. I'm thought of in this in some people's eyes as this savior, as this guy who can speak so eloquently and all this stuff. But behind the scenes, I'm miserable. One of the reasons I'm miserable is because I'm not doing all the other things that I am now doing, like making music at the level that I'm making it at. And being able to do that, I can't express myself. I'm so good at expressing myself, people say, but all I ever wanted to do was express myself. And I couldn't do it at the level that I wanted to do it at. And that drove me insane. That the fact that I didn't feel like I could be a comedian because I thought people would judge me. Wait a minute, I thought I didn't give a fuck what people thought. I can tell them all about these product lines, but I can't share my music and my art with them because I'm insecure. What the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. Now, here I am living this double life again, and it's spilling out into the matrix. And lo and behold, two girls at the same time. A lot of people in my outer world didn't know what my life looked like because I didn't let them. Why? Because I have all the time and the money that I need to be able to live how I want to, and you don't get to fucking know what that is. I live like a celebrity, but no, like I'm a celebrity that only niche audience knows that I am one, right? I'm a top 1% income earner, but under 30 in network marketing. Like I am a 1% in many regards. So I have this elitist complex. The fall comes. I then get super insecure. And as I'm super insecure, Sam Castor buys out Evolve Health, turns it into aloe vera, infuses all of our product with what's called Ace Mannin, a technology that he was going to bring to the world to save the world's children. Because after a year of donating it to an orphanage in Romania, no child died when they were losing 40 kids a year. I heard this story and he adopted all of his children. And here I am, an adopted child, essentially given another opportunity at life, now healthier than I've ever been because I've been on this product line for the last however many years. My life is kind of going in shambles. I have nothing left to lose. And I finally decided to do the thing that I've always been most scared to do, which is actually fight and hurt people. Every time got an opportunity to fight when I grew up, whether it was getting slapped, whether it was getting a loogie spit on in my face and having people taunt me, whether it was getting surrounded by, people, I was the one to always walk away. And the reason I was always the one to walk away was because I worshiped the samurai growing up. And the samurai believed that you should not unsheath your sword unless you were going to use it. And if you did, if you unsheathed your sword to pump fake, which now all these kids do, they got the blicky out, they're showing the guns to the cameras and they're talking about what they're going to do. Real killers never do that. Real warriors never do that. It's either life or death. You don't mock the spirit of fighting and war. You don't mock that spirit. That is the spirit that is life or death. That is righteousness. Real righteousness is when a man sees a child get fucking hurt and goes, "You're done. We're going to take care of that right now." No thoughts, righteous anger, problem solved. Child protected. Maybe death to the enemy, neutralizing the threat if that's what needs to be done. Now kids are pulling triggers carelessly with no honor. And they're in this spirit of war. I never did that. My biggest fear was that I've known my potential. My biggest fear was that I kick someone in the face and they don't wake up, who I never needed to kick in the face because it wasn't that serious. And then I remove myself from the opportunity of becoming as big as I could because I have to spend the rest of my life in a jail cell because I killed an individual that I didn't need to kill. Now I just took away my children's future because I believe that I'll be able to provide for my children's children. Why would I waste an opportunity like that on you? But here I am now sitting here with Sam Castor saying he has a way to eradicate childhood malnutrition from the globe. And it's using our technology that I've seen help thousands of people. Another confirmation. And I just go, if I become the biggest entertainer, influencer, and fighter on the planet and actually tell people what I think, what I actually think, what people pay me for. See, I used to be behind a paywall. In network marketing, you're behind a paywall, right? The only way that you're going to hear me speak is if you come to the event. Well, what do you have to do to come to the event? Pay for it. But I also started hating that industry because it's like, wait a minute, everybody should be hearing what I'm saying. Like, why are we afraid to post on social media? That was a thing that you didn't used to do, right? You didn't talk about your company on social media. Why? Well, because it will make you look like a network marketer or somebody that's just trying to sell you something. You don't do that. Well, at that moment, I decided I'm going to do everything that I set out to do. I know I could be the best fighter in the world, but I'm going to fight for a righteous reason. I'm going to save all these children. I'll be the best fighter in the world to save all these children and build a platform big enough to where we can get 3 million people on this product line and eradicate childhood malnutrition from the globe. You want to know why? Because 3 million people need to lower the inflammation in their body because now they're realizing that they're being poisoned on a day-to-day basis from the things that they eat to the things that they consume. Because if your body's in a fucking stressful position, you're causing inflammation. And it's stress and cortisol and inflammation that kill you. That is what does it.
100%.
So, what was the turning point? Hearing Sam Castor say he adopted all of his children and that the Romania orphanage where he, that he worked with had no child die. I could fight for that. I could hurt somebody for that. Right? But then that was a whole nother journey. Fighting has been a whole nother journey. But
So
yes.
when did you, okay, so you realize I'm going to go into the fighting industry because I can do this and the orphanages and the stories there, but what got you into, like, how did you find out about Pedowood? How did you find out about Jimmy Kimmel? How did you understand and even have an entry in your brain about the Epstein list? Like, for me, it was in May of 2020. I saw David Rodrigo Nino Rodriguez, you know him,
Yeah.
right? He was doing his little thing, his video during COVID outside, and he starts talking about the people that he mingles with, what really goes on in Hollywood. If anyone hasn't seen it, I'm sure it's up somewhere. And for me, like it pierced like a sword in my heart and my soul. It was an activation that I can't explain. I knew I got my mission papers. I had no idea what to do. I started crying and I just said, oh my God, I don't know what this is, but I want to be part of the solution. That's all I said to God. And I cried. I called my sister-in-law, who was the one that sent it to me. And I said the same thing. And like, it was like I knew. It was like that frequency. I knew that's what this was about. The COVID, this world. I knew that's why I felt like someone dropped me off at the wrong fucking planet when I was a kid. And I knew that like I was probably numbing myself through my teens and my 20s, drinking and partying and fucking bartending and because I couldn't deal with the vibration when I was a kid. So I came out so I mean, and everyone thought I was nuts, you know, including my husband. Like he still doesn't get it. He still doesn't get that it's about the kids. I think and so yeah, and so here you are talking about this shit and you're like one of the only guys that's willing to call out somebody on their social media and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is amazing."
Because I was a kid that wanted to save everybody. It's hard to admit that you're still a child at heart. And
Mm,
a lot of men think that they need to be hard. And to be hard, you need to be focused. But the best thing that you could do is activate your heart space to become the most powerful that you are. And as a child, that is why I was led to bring all of my friends to Jesus because I didn't want to lose any of my friends because I knew that we were all children and that nothing mattered. When we were having fun, nothing else mattered. It was just fun to feel safe and protected, to have a home over our head. The first time I drove through the hood in Minneapolis, we came home from a Twins game and I cried. I saw a prostitute walk and I didn't even know what a prostitute was, but I saw her and I had an innate idea of knowing what she was doing. And I just cried and I said to my adoptive mom, my people, my people. I cried the first time I saw poverty. I didn't understand it. Why was I given an opportunity at life? And now these individuals are in a state of desperation where they have to do things that they might not want to do, while I get to do everything essentially I want to do and receive all that I get to because I was given an opportunity by someone who didn't even know me, who loved me. Men become superheroes. Men activate all of the reserves in their body when they're fighting for something that they love. That is why they're demasculinating men right now.
mm,
They don't want men to realize that actually you have to conquer the inner child and you have to bring your divine masculine and your divine feminine together. You have to be able to see the balance and the polarity of why women are the way that they are and the beauty in it, and why men are the way that men are and the beauty in it. And that is why everything is an illusion and everything in our world today is polar opposites because now they try to get you to see the beauty in men who are not beautiful because they're not designed to be in the same regard that beauty comes to a woman naturally. So they have to cross everything. They have to that is Satanism. That is
inverted.
that
Abs
is
inversion.
the inverted
Yeah.
world. That is what they're looking to do because now why give a fuck about a child if it's not yours? You got to
Hmm.
focus on putting your head down, go to work, get your paycheck, provide for your family. That's what you need to focus on. You need
Yeah.
to focus on that. The world can't, if the world would have to stop if it was your child, the
Yeah.
world would have to
Exactly.
stop. But when it's not your child, so
Yeah.
I do everything for my children, my children's children, and the children of the world because I am a child at heart. And if I was in a situation, I would want someone like me doing
Amen.
all that they could to give me the opportunity to do the things that I maybe was put here to do. How many children have potentially been ritually sacrificed that were actually
Amen.
put here to change the world? I am
Hmm.
a one in a billion. How did I hear about a technology as I was at my lowest, as I looked to God for answers? How was I given it the next fucking day? Why? Because I had to obviously be given the opportunity by something or someone. I had to be here for a reason.
Hmm.
So if I have to be here for a reason and there's nothing more important than the single purpose of the present moment, then I better focus on that motherfucking mission. Excuse my language. I better
Amen.
focus, fuck that. I better focus on what I was sent here to do, because that is all that matters. Because all that matters is that my children have the opportunity to be safe and provided and protected for, so that they can do all that they are supposed to do here in this realm, on this plane, to take consciousness to the next level, because I believe that the universe is consciousness and that the all is mind and that God is the all, which is mind, which is consciousness. And as we think, that's why thoughts are so important. That's why you're not supposed to think about killing your neighbor, because you're feeding that thought, which is feeding that emotion, which is feeding that belief, which is feeding that state. And over a long period of state, you manifest. That's why you're supposed to focus on your thoughts now and make decisions according to what you feel. But if you only feel fear, shame, worry, doubt, and all of the other garbage, you will not ascend to the level of Christ consciousness, which is unconditional love, but righteous anger for the right reasons. It's okay if God wants to murk half a civilization. Why? Because it was decrepit and depraved and it had fallen many times. Of course. Well, of course, if I'm allowing myself and choosing, because we all have free will, it's just a matter of if you'll choose to get the information or not. That's why they try to censor. They don't want information to be out there. Satan was the first person to suppress information. Hey, if you eat that apple,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
hey, if
people
you eat that
perish
apple,
for lack of knowledge, right? That's what it says in the Bible. So, okay, there's so much that you've unpacked here.
that's what I try to do. Hey,
Thank
we
you
don't got a lot
so
of
much.
time.
I
We
know,
don't
I
got
know.
a lot of time. You know what I
So
mean? We don't got a lot of time.
we don't have a lot of time, and it's you're activating me, and I'm sure some of the people listening here feel activated too and inspired. So we're going to wrap up the podcast because I actually want people to listen to it entirely, but let's just end, and then we're going to head to our Q&A. Let's end with give people a sense of what they can do action wise, physically, emotionally, just baby steps to start this process of unschooling their own mind, their own soul. They want to do something. How many people will say to you, what can we do? I know they say it to me, right? End off with that. Give us some
Understand how your
hope.
mind works. Understand how your mind works. The moment you understand how the mind works, you understand how the universe works. The CIA just released documents to essentially expose that we do live in a simulation or a matrix, that our minds do create our reality. That is how we essentially manifest into the now. So there's nothing more important than the single purpose of the present moment, and there's nothing more important than to understand how your mind actually works. So start reading books that teach you, like the Introduction to NLP by Richard Bandler. Start listening to Emil Coué, um, self mastery through conscious auto suggestion. Start understanding the process of hypnosis. I'm a master hypnotist, not because I use it to hypnotize people, but to use it to understand how my mind actually works, so that I can defend myself from any of the propaganda that happens. Start taking information like Out of Shadows and Into the Light, or Rewired by Joe Dispenza on Gaia. You have to start taking in different information to actively fight back, because if you can't control your emotions or your thoughts, you're a victim and you're hopeless, and they know that. That's why some people feel like they're in a defeated state, that they can't do anything. So start consuming that type of information, and start consuming things like my product line, Alovea, alove.com. Why? Because it's food technology that biohacks your health back to optimal. And guess what? Why would you want to biohack your health back to optimal? Because you're already starting at a deficit and we don't got a lot of fucking time left. So start lowering that inflammation at a cellular level by 47% in 90 minutes by taking Limitless. Start pumping your body full of stem cells that don't come from aborted fetal cells, but come from Ace Mannin, where it's supposed to come from, which is the aloe vera plant. Okay? It comes from fucking aloe vera. It doesn't come from babies. You don't need
Yeah.
that shit. You
Yeah.
need something from the earth, because that's what we were given. So if you want to fight back, savekids.myalovea.com and start consuming artists also like me. Turn off the Netflix. Start streaming King Bau and start shifting your consciousness through the things that you're listening to. Stream the undeniables. Goat. Feel good. That's why we make the music. We make music to feel good and to shift energy. That's the point. Become a warrior and a victor, not a victim. Here's two.
Woo. All right. Thank you so much. Drink that water. Okay. We're gonna end it. I so appreciate you coming on and sharing with my audience. And I will have all of your information in the show notes for people to follow you. Very captivating and thank you. I just really want you to know so many of us appreciate you, especially us women who are waiting for our men to be activated in a place. You know, you are actually a lighthouse for not just the children, but other men, and hopefully. And I just wanted to add that, you know, I've done a lot of reading on tribalism, and we actually used to be as men and women so connected. This is why this Luciferian consciousness has attacked the family unit, that literally the women, as the divine energy, bringing in the
Yeah.
intuition, used to just point to where the enemy was, and the men would follow suit and go. That's how it was. You know, like the fact that, you know, and I'm not slagging my husband. I mean, he's a wonderful man, he's a beautiful provider. I couldn't be doing what I'm doing without him, but um, he doesn't trust. There's a barrier between him really trusting when I'm saying,
Bingo.
this is it. This is what's happening. He can't trust it. He's that, you know, the matter, the matrix, he's that plugged in, right?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Can I say something real quick? Because this is super
Hmm.
important for all the men out there.
Yeah.
You must activate your divine feminine.
Mm.
Music, dance is
Hmm.
feminine. The only reason I've done a lot of things in my life. And at one point in time, I was a male dancer. Okay. And I was a male dancer because everything in my life is to face fear. And my
Hmm.
fear of judgment, especially around women, was always high because I felt like I was leading women to their, when I was making them sin earlier, right? I always
Right.
felt like I was leading women not the right way.
Right.
And the reason I decided to dance was also to shake off all shame and honor myself and be like, I am beautiful. I am
Wow.
attractive. I
Yeah.
can be confident in
Hmm.
that. That's okay. I don't have to be ashamed. I used to be ashamed to dress up and look good because I knew that I made other people feel insecure that might have
Hmm.
been less than. And I was such an empath that I would see like my other friends who would be insecure about me being able to maybe talk to a girl or, you know, have the hot woman pay attention to me. Like I used to feel my friends. And so I wouldn't do it. I would just be the funny guy and I would go off in the corner and let everybody else mingle amongst the party. Why? Because I would diminish myself. And
Yeah.
so many men diminish themselves because they're not willing to tap into the divine feminine within their own nature, which is I am beautiful, I am safe, and I am loved.
Hmm.
And it's because they need to heal their inner child. The play
Amen.
nature is a female nature to be able to play. To be able to play is everything. That's why I make funny videos. That's why I
Hmm.
make funny songs. That's why I could do anything, but I choose to use humor because comedy is the highest form of enlightenment. Hey, men, there's nothing more attractive than a sexy man to a woman because a woman just wants to laugh, because a woman laughs from the same
Hmm.
place that they orgasm. That is the fucking
Hmm.
point. And there's nothing more important than to honor, worship, and protect women. They have a clitoris for a reason. It is designed for pleasure. And the only way that you can please a woman is if she feels safe with you.
Hmm.
So you have to allow that feminine nature to allow them to feel safe. That's
Oh,
why women
God.
are tribal. They sit around other women because they feel safe and they gossip and they do all the things that they do with other women. It's in our feminine nature to play. That's why they just want you to, where are we going? What are we doing? They want you to take control of the play.
Hmm.
What are you doing that allows them to feel safe in their little girl, in
Hmm.
their what they want to experience? That's the point. Divine masculine, divine feminine balance. But at any point in time, you have to be willing to go, if shit hits the fan, you have to be able to be a man and identify the threat.
Yes.
When she points it out, you can then go, all right, go,
That's
done.
right. That's right.
You
And I'll
take
tell
care of
you,
it.
yeah,
That's it.
and I'll tell you with my own relationship, the very first years of COVID, I was so vocal and I was so freaking out. And because he wasn't believing what I was saying, my masculine rose up. I took the kids, I pulled them out of school, I got a gun license, I took
Bingo.
them out, I started homeschooling, I
Bingo.
started doing right. And so, what does a man not like? A man doesn't want a masculine
Yes.
woman.
Come
Right.
on.
And
Yes.
so him and
Absolutely.
I were like this. I think the only reason we made it is because I was able to go to our other house, and we really had two houses, and he
Hmm.
would commute. But like that whole time, but as soon as I started hearing him, talk to other people, because of course he wouldn't say it to me. As soon as I started hearing him say to other people, yeah, did you know this is going on? This is crazy. And da da da. As
Yeah.
soon as my whole demeanor started to calm down, I was like, okay, he's starting to see it. He's starting to get it. Right. Like, and I was able to actually just get back into my feminine role more.
You made him better.
Now,
Bingo. You made him
we'll
better. And
see.
that's the
We'll
point.
see when the next hammer comes down. You know what I mean? But I think he's way more awake and aware now, and didn't do the
Regardless
juice
of
and
what
all that
happens,
shit.
hold up, hold up. Regardless of what happens, take it. Take what I'm saying. You made him
Mm-hmm.
better. That
Mm-hmm.
is the point. We are supposed to come together and make each other better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't slight any of my exes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. The mother of my children has reasons to feel whatever she feels about me. The other mother of my children has reasons to feel whatever she does about me. My exes have reasons to feel whatever they did about me. It's a matter of if they're going to continue to get better or not. I'm not focused on what they're feeling. I'm focused on what I need to do to get better and how I can pull all the positives out of our relationships.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I forgive them. That's why I don't give a fuck anymore. That's why, hey, they will be what they are. Let them. You made me better. I made me better. And now
Mm-hmm.
I'm continuing to attract more. That is the point.
Yeah,
You're either growing or you're dying. And
that's it.
women are a man's portal to ascension
Mm-hmm.
in many regards. You feel and you manifest. That's why orgasms are powerful. And that is why life comes through what? Pleasure. Life
Mm-hmm.
comes through the ultimate form of play. So
Yeah.
if you can't create sacred safe space, which everybody deserves, and what they're trying to take away from the children, that's why
Mm-hmm.
they're over sexualizing them right now. Because how is a child supposed to know any of this? They're not. That's the point. They're supposed to play. That's what they're supposed to be worried about. But
That's
now you
right.
have to worry about things already, and the first thing they got worry about is if they're a boy or a girl when they and how they feel and da 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 da. No, they're just supposed to feel how they feel and then erupt. And then
That's right.
do whatever they're going to do because that's how they learn, because that's free will, because that's what God gave us and the ability to experience. Experience is wisdom. Wisdom is experience. So your husband has used you and you have used him to gain
Mm-hmm.
experience and wisdom, and you have both made each other better. And regardless of whatever happens, you can be grateful and honor that.
This is true. This is true. Thank you for that. Okay, we're going to wrap it up. And I'll leave King Bell's information in the show notes. Thank you all for coming today. Thank you so much, friends. If you like the content that I am producing amongst a sea of censorship, please like, review, and share. If you are looking for support to pull your kids from the system and start your own unschooling the mind journey with an international online community of like-minded souls who are doing the same thing as you, head over to my website at tashafishman.com for all the details. To create strong communities right where you are, it starts with you. Thank you. Clear eyes, open heart, can't lose. See you next time.